Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, friends.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so as always, I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Kate Sitars. Hello, Kate. And we have the great pleasure of being joined by our good friend, Stuart Tarn, who is a star CCA student, who is also actually the head of our student coaches program, and also has some exciting updates in his professional journey. So welcome to the podcast, Stuart.
Good to be back. Hi, Nicki. Hi, Kate.
Oh, hello. Yes. We did talk to Stuart previously, so we'll put the link in the notes because you'll definitely want to check that one out again. But there have been some big changes in Stuart's professional life, so we wanted to hop on and get an update. So now, last time we talked to you, Stuart, you were working full-time at a company and absolutely freelancing part-time and kind of weighing your options, figuring out what you wanted to do next. Can you catch us up? What's happened since then? Where were you and where have you come to now?
Yeah, so the last time we spoke, it was, well, judging by the awful hair I was sporting at the time, it was mid-lockdown. So, barbers all closed and I was working from home for an airline that I've worked for many, many years. And since then, I made the big decision to leave full-time employment, and I am now full-time freelancing as a copywriter, thanks to the wonderful CCA course and all of your help and support. So yeah, big changes since the last time we spoke. It's been crazy, but
That's
good fun
amazing.
though.
So what was your process as you started to think about going into full-time freelance? What did your plan look like?
Rather naively, when I first started on this journey, I thought it would be a good way of, adding additional skills, making myself more employable. Being a better writer is never a bad thing. So I went in there purely as a developmental thing. I never had any plans to be freelancing, to own my own business. It was always just something to do whilst on furlough, stops me from watching Netflix. But then as I got stuck into it more, I started to flirt with the idea of, okay, maybe I could do it part-time. I could reduce my hours at the full-time job and get the best of both worlds. But again, as I went further through that and worked with more clients, I kind of realized that even if I was part-time, it would only be one day that I'd have available to do copywriting, 2 days at an absolute maximum. And no matter how part-time you can be in any full-time job, it generally creep into your other time, and you kind of have one foot in one camp, one foot in the other, and you couldn't really commit fully to either. So whenever I embark on something, I like to throw myself in feet first and really get stuck in. So I felt it wouldn't be me if I was trying to do the best of both worlds. And I'd had, well, best part of 18 months of trying to do both jobs, and it just, it takes a lot of headspace and a lot of discipline. And it was kind of like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So let's be brave and make the step. So I went on a mission last year, essentially, of every penny that I earned from copywriting was plowed into a savings account with a view to, I had this goal in mind of having a 6-month worth of outgoings saved before I kind of tried to kid myself by saying, before I make any big decisions, I'll reach this goal. I thought, with the infrequency and irregularity of freelance invoicing, getting paid, I didn't want my mortgage payment to rest on whether a client pays their bill on time. So I really wanted to make sure that I would just have this buffer to smooth out those peaks and troughs and just make sure I wouldn't have to worry about, obviously still chasing up those invoices. I'm not a charity, I want that money, but I didn't want to have that added pressure of having to miss potential payments. So yeah, that was my aim. And I'd had a spreadsheet all worked out. It did all of the hard work for me. I had a lovely pie chart that would count down how many months I had to go. And yeah, I managed to hit that target. Well, I worked out at the end of last year that I was on track to hit near enough, like a few £100 short by the end of March. So I thought, okay, well, financial year starts in April. Let's say March is my deadline. So yeah, I handed in my notice and worked out the longest notice period it felt known to man, and then yeah, started my full-time freelancing role on the 4th of April, because that was the Monday of that week. So it's been a wild ride so far.
That's amazing. You say the longest notice period. How long did that end up being?
Well, contractually, it was 6 months, but I had a feeling I could negotiate that down. So it turned out to be a 3-month period. So I went back on my first day after New Year, back in the office, 4th of January, sat my manager down and had an awful, what felt like a breakup conversation with him to say, I'm really sorry, we got to talk. I've got some news. And it's not you, it's me. And yeah, and I reported to him, and that was our team, so it's just the two of us. So it was always going to be a bit of a wrench for both of us. I dropped that bombshell on the first day back after the holidays, wished him a happy new year, and gave him some news. Still feeling a little bit guilty. He still speaks to me though, which is good.
That's good. That's good. And how were those last 3 months for you?
I was still a fully engaged member of staff, but realistically, the minute you make that life-changing decision, like buying a house or getting a new job or deciding to change your life completely, every day you just want to be there. What motivated you previously dragged you down. Every single day felt like a challenge, but I needed to make sure I was still present and doing my job, because that's just, I couldn't let that slip. But it got progressively more frustrating that I was holding myself back from. I had to turn down work, I had to pass work on I wanted to do, but eventually the day came and it was still, even now I look back and think, what have I done? Have I really done this? Really? So yeah, it still takes a bit to get used to knowing that I don't have a boss anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and we are recording this on July 1st, which means that you have been full-time freelance for officially 3 months. So congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And as much as you feel comfortable sharing, what ultimately made you decide to take the leap into freelance? Because you obviously loved your job, and I think there are other CCA students who are in a similar position. So what was your reasoning to do it?
Yeah, so I'd worked for the company that I worked for, it was coming up to 18 years. So I joined, I think I was 21-ish, can't really do the math, but so like most part of my adult life, I've worked for that company. So, but never in the same role. So looking back, I'd always seemed to move on into a different role. Usually 4 or 5 years, I would do a job and then another shiny object would appear that I'd grab a hold of and go and try. And it was coming up to that period. And it was mainly, I went into this as a developmental thing, as I said, with no intention. But the more I did, the more I realized, I was like, it's actually what I really enjoyed doing. Like throughout my life, when I was a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. And I never known, clearly, because I didn't know about this role yet, but now I do. And I realized this is what I wanted to do. And apparently it seems I'm now a grown-up. But
congratulations.
Thank you. All grown up. And it was more the opportunities that this could bring and the ability. So, during lockdown, obviously that changed a lot of lives the world over. But so for the role I do, I moved like 300 miles away from my family, live just outside London. And I got the taste of being able to just go and visit them whenever I wanted when I was on furlough from my role. And then the ability to not be bound to one place. So that was attractive. Being paid to create something that didn't exist before, it was like, oh, I still remember being paid for that first invoice. I was like, I just wrote something. Surely that people pay me for that, and it still surprises me. But it doesn't feel like a job, and I think it's. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes you tear your hair out, and you get feedback, you rip it up and start over, and it can be really frustrating. But at the same time, when when you're writing something, oh, I love that line, that sounds amazing, and when you get great feedback from clients, it just really it drives you forward, and being able to unlock someone's problem creatively is a real great thing you could do. So yeah, I love it.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And so you have been freelance now for 3 months, and you were very careful about building up your bank account. So you had living expenses. How have your earnings for these 3 months, and I'm grinning because I know, but how have your earnings for these 3 months compared to 3 months at your previous position? How have those stacked up?
So it's funny because I didn't really know what to expect, because obviously you work every hour when you're doing it as a side gig on top of full time, and you think, oh well, I'd have all this available time, but where am I going to get all these clients from? So it's just that fear of how will I fill my day. So I had no real hope for the first 3 months. I say, yeah, if I can, keep my head above water, I'll be fine. And I've got 6 months worth to fall back on. And so month one, obviously, it takes a while to build up. So you're sending out a load of invoices, but they're not paying yet. And then month two, they start trickling through. And I did my quarter one finances yesterday, and worked it all out and averaged it all out. And if we base on invoices paid, then I exceeded my monthly average take-home pay by £100 a month. But if we factor in the invoices that are out there, not paid yet, then £1,100 on top of my normal monthly salary on average across 3 months, which I'm thrilled with, absolutely thrilled with. And actually yesterday was the first time I paid myself for my business, because obviously I didn't know what I'm doing with taxes. And I asked my accountant, can I start taking money out yet? And she was like, we've been saying you could do that for months. Why haven't you yet? I didn't want to get it wrong. So yeah, I paid myself for my business and then put it straight into my savings account to top up what I've been living on for the last few months. So yeah, yesterday was a big day. It was fun.
That's terrific. That's great to exceed what you made on staff, and to do that within your first 3 months of being a full-time freelancer. That is really, really terrific. Congratulations.
Before I saw your ad, Nicki, I didn't even know it was a job I could do. I had no intention of being a freelancer. So, you both have a lot to answer for in my one of my favorite films is The Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's I often look back and think, what would have happened? What if I'd never seen that ad? What if I'd thought, no, I'll not spend that money? But thankfully I'm living in the reality that I did do it, so it's great.
You did the work, and yeah, you did the work.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thinking of your transition, because I do think this is something a lot of people toy with, and I think you're in a similar mindset of you of like, no, could I do it full time? Is that really possible? How much do you feel like it helped you to start freelancing while you were still at your full-time job to then transition and have, like you mentioned, a little more time to pitch, a little more time to prospect for clients? How much did those previous clients help these first 3 months to have those relationships already built?
I mean, you're probably going to cringe when I say this, but the last pitch I sent was probably in September of last year.
Stuart!
And you went full time.
Because I didn't have any time to pitch. I couldn't. So it was bizarre. I started to get referrals from people like before I finished my full-time role, for CCA students who didn't have the capacity pass some work to me. Thanks, Julie. Huge. I've got two great clients through Julie Bocconi, one of our students. So thank you for that. Client, like people from my full-time role, and my boss's boss gave me a referral to someone she knows from the school run, writing press releases. And so I amazingly have I sent my first pitch of this role day before yesterday.
Good.
And I got a reply. It was a thanks but no thanks, but first one pitch, one reply. I was like, wow, amazing. So all of my clients who I work with now are repeat clients. I got one extra since going full-time from a friend from school, but it's ongoing work. And I think that's really, accepting that you're a good writer takes a bit of time. And to really own that title, I was like, but a few weeks ago, I sort of looked back on it and thought, you know what, if I wasn't any good, I wouldn't have repeat clients. Every single one of my clients is a repeat. I've done more than one job for. Clearly, there's something there. So I stopped seeing, it's weird because once you tackle one bit of imposter syndrome, you get another one. So I stopped, it's less, are you a good writer or not? Is have you answered the brief or not? Mm. And that then becomes what the feedback for me is. So I know, okay, writing I can do, bang, in a box, I know I can do that. But is the strategy that I've adopted right? Is the way I've approached it, is the creativity I've been able to show answered the brief? And that's more challenging. And that's really what a lot of the work I'm doing at the moment is about strategy to follow rather than the words you're writing. So one of the clients I work with is a business coach who wrote a book, and it's sold through Amazon. But selling through Amazon, you don't get access to the customer data, the emails to do further on marketing. So how do you get these anonymous people into your ecosystem to keep talking with? Okay, well, let's think, how can we approach that? So it was something as simple as a QR code bookmark in the book gets delivered. You open it, get a free coaching video for 5 minutes, scan this link, fill in your details. You've got an email address in a funnel, send them more emails, and just being able to think of ways to, okay, why don't we try this? What about that? So I'm not doing less writing, but I'm doing more strategic thought. How do we tackle this problem creatively? And that's the possibilities of where you could take things are pretty much endless, really. And I'm really loving that part of the role at the moment. I'm not sure what the question you asked me to get to that answer, but that's my answer anyway.
Great answer.
Perfect.
But I think it's good for everyone to hear, because I think there's so much more opportunity to be that partner to your clients, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the question you asked about repeat work. So one of my longest is a very bizarre, coincidental pitch that I actually did send a cold pitch, Nicki, thank you, to a potential client. Pitched them on an About Me page for their e-com website because they didn't have one at all. So, you need an About Me page, you need to build a relationship with your customers, like trust, all of that. And it was about April of last year that I sent this pitch, and they loved the idea. They took me on, they hired me to do an About Me page. Then a couple of months went by and I started writing a monthly blog for them, for SEO and building. And I don't really do content writing, they're the only people I do that for, but it's a great brand. I love what they do. So it was easy for me to inhabit that world and write for them. And I've been planting the seed of, I really could do some good work with your email marketing. you send out some, great, but I'd love to help you with it. Oh, it's fine, we've got it covered. It's fine, it's sorted. And every now and then I'd just, how's your email coming along? And they were launching a new product. I was like, wouldn't it be great to do like a launch sequence and build some excitement? Wouldn't it be wonderful if you launched your product and are already sold out? So we started to, okay, let's chat. And this week I managed to land a retainer to do their email marketing now. So it's, for me, it's all about being, not just being an order taker, but actually being a marketer, a partner with someone, and not being afraid to step out your lane a bit and say, oh, you know what? And I actually borrowed the QR code idea and applied it to this project as well. So they have a really strong gift market. So the product they sell is a really good gift, but you buy a gift for someone, you don't know who the end customer is. They're like, well, wouldn't it be great if you put an insert into the box, get them to scan a code, get them into your marketing system, and then you can repeat market to them. And also send an email to the person who bought the gift and say, you were so generous. Wouldn't it be lovely to buy it for yourself? Here's 10% off. Because they've sold it to themselves to buy it for someone else. There's 2 leads for the price of 1. So it's all about, for me, is just being willing to be a bit, what about this? What about that? Without being pushy and salesy.
Yeah.
So that's how I've filled my client roster without having to pitch at the moment. But again, I realization moment, I was being quite passive when it came to controlling my income and my client work and how much work. So the problem with repeat is the project then completes and goes, and then it goes quiet for a little while. And they all went quiet at once. I'm like, oh no, I've literally devoted all my time to helping my clients. Oh,
Yeah.
I better start pitching again. So now it's just being a more, yes, I can help on this repeat work in 2 weeks' time. Yes, I can do this. I've got some free time next week. I could do it then, rather than being, yes, give me your money. I need help, brand new business. I need to fill my time up. So it's a huge learning curve. And the difference between freelancing on the side and doing it for real, I had to step up a lot, and put some demons to bed and really be a business owner rather than someone doing it as a well-paid hobby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is such a great takeaway, that it's because in starting my business is when this business, the Filthy Rich Writer business and the Nicki K Media brand company, that was what really changed things around. Several years ago when I started, the product was always fantastic, but it was treating it like a business instead of a hobby, and that's what not turned things around, but led us to where we are today. And I'm so glad that you are discovering that same lesson for yourself and seeing that same type of success when you really do focus on it as a business.
I listened to that episode of the podcast where you and Kate discussed the starting of the Nicki K Media business and making it into a business. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need to hear right now. This is, this is where you get those mindset challenges, and everything you achieve gives you something else that you want to achieve, and you constantly shifting the goalposts. Nothing is ever good enough, because you always want to keep striving, and just accepting that you'll never cross the finish line, because you're always pushing that finish line away. And it's, what is good enough? I've yet to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so there is a lot of mindset work when it comes to, especially to working for yourself. What other, you're talking about putting demons to bed, what other, and obviously share as much as you feel comfortable sharing, but what other kinds of things have you had to kind of face or work through as you've gone to full-time freelance?
I think it sounds strange, but just motivation comes and goes. And it's not so much, the thought of getting up and sitting at the laptop, it wasn't so much that. It's when clients go quiet or projects get put on hold, or you don't hear back from someone and you need to know from them before you can get going, and it's like, well, I'm kind of just dangling now. What do I do? And that was a big challenge where, okay, let's set better boundaries, let's set expectations with people, and if you want me to do this by then I need you to do this by this time, and if that doesn't happen, then I can't. And I think one other thing which I've always been guilty of is taking on people's deadlines as in my own pressure. So we really need this by next week, and and starting to stress about how am I going to, they're going to miss the deadline. Like, calm down, it's not yours. You didn't give yourself 2 days notice to turn this project around. You can only do what you can do in the time you can do it in. So I need to still work on accepting I hit my deadlines and it's not my fault if you haven't. But also, if you can move everything to make things work, then do. So last week was a great example. I got probably one of my bigger clients was writing they were bidding for a really big contract, and it was, they said this will double our annual revenue if we land this contract. We are moving heaven and earth to make sure we do this. Therefore, we want you to rewrite our bid proposal. I was like, I've never written a bid proposal before, but let's see what I can do. Is we need you for 2 whole days, tomorrow and the day after. What can you do? I was like, let's have a look. And thankfully, everything that I had on my calendar was all, because I had padded my own deadlines, I could shift and I could move. So I was able to clear the decks and step in. And it was nice to be, back in the full-time job. You get these crises come up and you all hands to the pump and you get that adrenaline flowing. It was nice to feel that again, but I was like, oh, right, close, send that email, right, that's that, done. It's a weekend now, and I could able to step back from that because it's not my part has been played, and let's see if you get that role. And if you do, I'm going to be very busy because they'll probably need more help, but it's out of my hands. But so that was a big thing. And also, I'm very bad at comparing myself to people and feel like I'm coming up short. And obviously, Nicki, I'm part of your great mastermind, which is CC Next Level, which is invaluable to be in a virtual room with people who are absolutely doing amazing things with their business. And I contribute and I take part in those conversations, and then the call ends go, oh, they're doing so much better than I am. Why can't I be there? Or why is my income not 5 figures a month? And just reminding myself that I'm running my own race, and no one is working with the constraints and the opportunities that I have, and at the same, I don't have their constraints or opportunities. So you can only do what you can do yourself, and the only real person you're ever in competition with is yourself. And I need to keep remembering every now and then. I'll look back and say, what, we're in July 2 years ago. In July, we're in the midst of COVID. I hadn't even heard of the CCA, and I was sat on the couch watching TV for 9 hours a day thinking, what am I doing with my life? So I just need to be more conscious of where I've come from and what I've achieved, and also holding myself to realistic standards, but also not giving myself excuses not to keep pushing. So my goal for this quarter really is I'm going to send at least 1 pitch a week, just to keep the opportunities going, because here's another mindset, bizarre one. I was always a bit overly cautious of overcommitting to clients and taking on too much, for the fear that I would then let people down. And because of that, I undercommitted my time, and like, what are you doing? You could have been working on other projects here. And it's just finding that balance. So I'm getting better at being realistic with the time that I have available and what I can achieve in that time. and at the same time filling my billable hours as much as I can, because I've now exceeded my old wage. It's like, okay, well, what can I do for this quarter and then the next? Because it was never about the money, but you kind of want to step up. You want to push yourself and see what you're capable of. So I've got big plans for what's ahead, and although I don't niche, and I absolutely won't, I did come across a phrase from another, I think a British copywriter who does, six figures, earn megabucks kind of thing. But I heard this term where you're a T-shaped marketer, where you've got a broad cover of all of the skills. You can do a lot of things, but then you go deep in one specific area. So my plan is to keep my current clients as is, because they'll all repeat and keep coming back with more varied and different roles, so I can learn and grow and get more confident in a broad range of topics. But the people I pitch, I'm going to choose a specific area to focus in, so I can get great at one specific thing. And then if I then, I'm happy with that, I'll move on to something else, or just so I can really get that best of both worlds, where I've got the broad bases covered and also specialist knowledge in certain areas. So I'm going to be exploring a bit of interesting work in the next few months.
That's exciting. Good for you.
It is.
We'll have to
And
catch
the
up with you
fact that I
again.
can do that as well, and being able to choose the direction you go in, rather than being, this is your project you're working on. Actually, no, I'm going to do this today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's an important thing, right? I wish there were some kind of magical formula that would tell us as freelancers, okay, this is the right amount of clients. This is too many, this is too few, or this is too many hours to work. This is too few hours to work. Because there's also the fact that, when you're freelance, and especially it's summer, we should also be enjoying our lives, right? And taking off early on Friday or Wednesday if we feel like it, or starting later or whatever. But taking advantage, and it doesn't have to be, huge, but taking advantage of the fact, to your point, Stuart, that you can work from wherever you want to. If you want to go visit your family, you can do that and work from there. Or if you just want to go work from a coffee shop the next town over, just to be in a different environment. Embracing that flexibility can be a hard thing to remember as freelancers. We can get into this place of, okay, well, I have to get up and I have to get through these clients and I have to do this and I have to do this. So it's a challenge, but certainly worth it to incorporate all of it. Mm-hmm.
And I was very happy to find a coffee shop has just opened about 5-10 minutes walk from my house this week. So I went there yesterday, and I had to go back today because they didn't have a card machine ready, because they've only just opened. So the guy gave me free coffee. So I went back today to pay him. So I thought, no, you're a new business, I'm not taking charity. Here's more money, and give me some more coffee. So being able to get out and work from a different environment is remarkably conducive to different thoughts and coming up with new ideas when you're not looking at the same four walls, and different view to look at, and can be very helpful to spark ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And not feel guilty for not being at your desk. That's another big thing. I'm going to finish early today. Oh, I really should be doing work. I'm sure I should be doing something. Actually, no. Everything can wait. You are in control of what can wait. So
that's why we freelance, right? You got to remember why this isn't my real living room. I'm not working from home.
Not working from your home. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. Kate and I, knew some of this stuff, but also got some additional insight, which has been really selfishly, really, really fun for us. But I know that it's going to be really helpful for our audience too, and especially for our CCA students who get the opportunity to interact with you regularly, and even to work with you one-on-one. Your story, I think, is going to really resonate with a lot of people. And to go ahead and just know that we're going to be inviting you on for the third episode, the third installation of your full journey. Because personally, again, selfishly, I can't wait to see what this next iteration of your career looks like. You're doing such great work, and we're so thrilled for you.
Thank you very much. And it's, I still enjoy being part of the group, because being able to see people's progress it just reminds me of where I came from. And also I see it, it sounds like really trite, but almost like giving back to all of the lessons I learned from that group. And I want to give back to those people, saying it is possible and you'll enjoy it. And it'll be awfully scary and you'll wake up thinking, what have I done? But if you're going with the right mentality and the right, if you know what you want to achieve, then there's nothing stopping you. There are plenty of clients to be had. You just need to go out and find them and do your best work, and then do enough of your best work and people will start to find you, and it does get easier. So yeah, it's been a wild ride and only just 3 months in. What's next?
What's next indeed. And yes, exactly. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast.
Give it some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you so much for joining us, Stuart. This has been a lot of fun. And of course, with that, we'll catch everybody in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for our free video training right here.